Hi, so this is a tutorial on how to use the various add-in statistics that are in Excel to work with Anovas. They don't work with other things, but they have quite a lot of range in terms of what they do work with. So one of the first things that you want to do is put your data from your problem set. If you're in a statistics class at a university, they give you a book or a data sheet, and you usually get the data in this kind of unformed way where you've got all the numbers for the groups in a row and then all the scores or the measurements, whatever they might be, in a row. The question in your problem set will always give you some information about what's going on. So it will describe the experiment, or it will describe what the groups mean and what the scores mean. So let's say in this particular one, we've got 3 groups. We have group 1 that's a group of firemen that have had a 1-week training. You have a group 2 is a group of firemen who've had a 4-week training, and group 3 are folks who've had an 8-week training. And at the end of their training sessions, they're all given the same skills test. There's 10 skills they have to complete correctly, and the scale runs from 0 to 10. So let's say 0 to 10, although none of our folks got a 0. And then you get these 2 lines, groups 1, groups 2, group 3, and their scores. And there's actually 30 folks all together. So the first thing you want to do is reorganize these so you know what's going on. So we're going to put group 1, group 2, and group 3, this column. Now you want to move that data. So you put your arrow key or your mouse on that first score, hold down the shift key, use an arrow key to go down to all the values that are in that group 1. Control C, put your mouse under group 1, Control V, and there it is. Now you want to start with group 2, put down the shift key, go down with the arrow, Control C, go to the top of group 2 and Control V. And now we're going to come back down here to group 3, take the first score, use the arrow key to go all the way down, and put them under group 3 by doing Control V. Okay, now in order to get these add-ons, you want to click on File, and you want to click on Options, and then you click on Add-ins. And down at the bottom it says Excel Add-ins, and you want to click Go. And that gives you a little dialog box that looks like this, and you want to have Analysis Tool Pack and Analysis Tool Pack VBA clicked, and you say OK. Now you go to the Data, up in the top of the menu, you go to the Data tab, and look all the way down to the right, and you see Data Analysis. So you're going to click on Data Analysis, and what we want to do is an Anova single factor. So we're just trying to see how well this training worked out. We have 3 levels of 1 factor, the duration of the training, and we want to see how high their scores were depending on how much training they had. So we've got Anova single factor, and we hit OK. Now what it wants us to do is to enter the input range of the data, and you'll see that it's highlighted the data here. And that's because I did this before, so not to worry about that. What you would do if you wanted to start over, we're going to click here. You just put your cursor in input range, click on the first score, go across and then down, and you have them grouped by columns. And then we know the alpha is 0.05, that's what we wanted to use. If it says 0.01 in your course, you want to change the alpha to whatever your particular book asked for. Now sometimes you see these tutorials up on the internet and they'll tell you to click on a new worksheet. And that puts all of the analysis in another worksheet in this workbook. I don't do that because when you're first starting out in statistics, it's really hard to flip back and forth and remember what you saw in the first sheet and the second sheet. So I think it's much better to find a spot in the sheet that you're looking at where the analysis can go. So you just put your cursor in output range, click on some empty space, so it's column O, number 5, and then you click OK. Now what you want to do is relabel this so that you don't forget what's going on. So you know that column 1 is the 1-week training, column 2 is the 4-week training, column 3 is the 8-week training, And then when it says sum, what you're summing are the scores. So we'll just say scores. So it shows you that there are 10 students in each of these different types of training. And these are the scores that they got overall. These are the average scores that they got, and this is the variance. So the mean for 1 week was 4.2 out of 10, 4 weeks 6.2 out of 10, and 8 week 8.1 out of 10. And then this is how variable they are within their own little distribution. Now this is your source table. What you want to do here is make sure you can read what's going on. So you click on source of variance, click on format. You've got to go back to the home tab. So we were on data. We went back to home, clicked on format, clicked on auto fit, and then you have source of variation. Between groups, this is the sum of squares, and I'll show you how to do this by hand in a different tutorial. The sum of squares has to do with the deviation of each of these from the mean of their own groups. So between the groups, within the groups, the degrees of freedom, there's 3 groups minus 2. There's 30 students minus 3 groups. So it's 2 and 27. That's how you'd enter the table. These are calculations that are done in the Anova, divided them up to come up with the F, and then they give a p-value, and then they give the criterion value. So here's the criterion value for a 0.05 alpha level, and here's your F ratio for this. So what you've got here is a definitely significant effect. So it shows that having different amounts of training really does have a relationship to how well these guys do those skills tests at the end of their training. So this is how you do this with the data add-ins. I want to show you what all is there just for the heck of it. We go back to data and we click on analysis. You'll see this is a nice big list. There's a 2-factor with replication, a 2-factor without, a correlation, descriptive statistics, an F-test sample for variances, and then you can go down here and it'll give you a simple regression. It will also give you several types of t-tests and a z-test, which is 2 samples for means. The only problem is it doesn't tell you what actually all of these mean here. You know this is the SS and the MS and the F, but you don't know how these were calculated. So in another tutorial, I'll show you how to set up an Excel spreadsheet that calculates these by hand. So I hope that helps.